need some competition out here. Come on.
Ask you this because he's a free thinker and he's somebody that thinks out the box, and I agree with a lot of what he says. But like I said, I didn't necessarily agree with that picture. So obviously, when this gets posted, you're going to see the argument on the other side that just different types of men, not just the man that we sit here and we're talking about, the strong alpha man, the one that takes care of his family, the one that's, you know what I mean, proud to be a heterosexual male that takes care of his responsibilities. There's different types of men nowadays in this society. Talk about that argument and that other side. Is there room or a place, in your opinion, for another type of male other than the one we're speaking about right now?
Of course. I don't think anybody here would agree that a man does not have a right to be whatever he wants to be. I've got people in my family that have all kinds of, interesting backgrounds and lifestyle preferences, whatever you want to call it, right? What the problem is this. We know that there are people out there that are in the LGBT community. I encourage the community to always just be aware of that, right? But that's a small percentage of the population.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem is the propaganda comes in when you take something that is minor and you pretend like it's major. You take something that's, 1 out of 50 and you act like it's like 1 out of 3. Mm. And that's what they do to the black man, because think about this. I could name several prominent black males in Hollywood who have put on a dress in the last 5 or 10 years. There's several. Mm-hmm. List is very long, starting with Terry Crews and LaKeith, going all the way down. How many high-level Leonardo DiCaprio level white males have you seen dressed like women? Can you think about the time you saw Brad Pitt putting on a dress? George Clooney? Any of those guys? No.
Nope.
You don't see it. So there's something there. There's an agenda there. And what you really are seeing, I encourage people to just see it for what it is. What you're really seeing is that Hollywood is a weird, debaucherous place. My daughter wants to be an actress. I don't want her to go to Hollywood because they do all kinds of weird, freaky shit out there. They're just strange people. And so you have to kind of be very, not skeptical, but just be aware that typically when a black person rises up the ranks of Hollywood real fast, there's usually something happening behind the scenes you're not aware of. Somebody's, sucking a penis, somebody done, did whatever. Yeah. And that's just reality, So a lot of these very prominent male actors, these so-called alpha male black men are gay. And there's nothing wrong with them being gay. The problem is when you are mass promoting black male femininity to the community as kind of like the standard template, as if that's just what every other black man is doing, because that ain't the case. And again, that goes back to what I was saying, that the black male is very threatening. We are scary. I scare the hell out of white people. I mean, the way white people run from me, you would think that I was a mass murderer. Right. You would think that I had a criminal record this long, that I done did 20 years in prison. I've done none of that. All I am is a black man with a PhD who's smarter than you, who's not scared to say what he believes and stands up for his community. That's what scares them. And that should help us understand the game that you're playing. Our problem is that we are at war, and a lot of us don't realize we're at war. We think there's peace. This is not peace. This is war. They declare war on you from before you were born, when they wanted your mama to abort you. That's why they put all the abortion clinics in the hood and all this other stuff. So ultimately, I think when you see it that way, it shouldn't offend you anymore. It should just wake you up and make you say, okay, people are going to do what they're going to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Period.
What about, we had a lot of actors, actresses on here, and some of them will say, because we ask them that about the dress all the time, probably at least 30 of them, and they will say, I'm not this, I'm not that. It's just a part in the movie, separating, from themselves. What do you say about that aspect that people will come over here and say that? Like, if they're just separating it, it's a part in the movie, they're getting paid to do so.
I mean, I just think that's bullshit. um, media impacts life. Art imitates life. Life imitates art. Children are influenced by what they see. Back in the day, again, another guy that they've decided to lynch, Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby used to do all these shows about HBCUs and going to HBCUs, and HBCU attendance went up because he put a different world on TV. That was, so people follow what they see in the media. That's why corporations will pay hip hop artists and actors to wear certain clothing or whatever. I saw a big Coach ad with, in the airport with Michael B. Jordan with a Coach bag and a jacket on. And why do they do that? Are they stupid? Are they just want to give their money away? No, they paid him that money because they know that when people see him with their product, they're going to copy that behavior. So when people see things in the movies, impressions of other groups of people are formed. I've been watching this cowboy movie called it's really good, called Yellowstone, with my wife, and it's all about cowboys. And cowboys are interesting. There's just a wild, crazy group of people, and most of them are white. And my wife and I were sitting there saying, "Wow, we didn't know cowboys lived like that." And so here we are. Now, mind you, my wife has a PhD like me, so we're two smart people, highly educated, and we're literally sitting there, thinking that this must be what cowboys do, because we don't know any cowboys. So that's what they do with black people.
Yes, sir.
Right? So when you going around the world and calling yourself, this and that, the N-word, talk shit about your women and everything else, like they're like, oh, well, this is what those people do. Wow. And check this out. Here's the crazy part. We were in Louisville, Kentucky this week, and there happened to be a convention of ranchers and farmers at the place. It's basically a bunch of white dudes with cowboy hats and boots coming in. My wife goes up to one of them and says, "Wow, are you a cowboy?" And the guy said, "No, we're ranchers and farmers," because they did not want to be called cowboys. And that's when we figured out, like, oh, maybe them being called cowboys is like us being called the N-word, right? So ultimately, a lot of times people form impressions of other groups of people they don't understand from what they see in the media. So if the black man has always presented himself in a certain way, the thug, the coon, the clown, or the ignorant guy, or the man who hates women, then guess what? People are going to copy that. Another good example is when they did blaxploitation movies in the 70s, and they had these pimping, macking movies coming out. Well, my father said at that time, all the young guys wanted to be like the Mac. So this stuff is real, man. Media has tremendous power. The reason I encourage everybody to read a book called An Empire of Their Own, How the Jews Invented Hollywood. It's not anti-Semitic. It's a great tribute to the genius and the brilliance that the Jewish community showed to create Hollywood from nothing. Black people can do the same thing, probably do it better. In this book, they explain that part of the reason that they wanted to control the movie industry is because they wanted to control how the world viewed them.
Yes.
Right? So anybody who thinks that is just entertainment, unfortunately, that person needs to be educated on what entertainment actually does. In fact, my wife is an expert on the subconscious mind, and she says, in your mind, there is no such thing as make-believe. In your subconscious mind, there is no such thing as fake. That's why you got to be careful even about the things you say to yourself. Like if you're thin and you keep telling yourself you're fat, your mind will really believe that you're fat. Right? So always be thoughtful about what you put in your mind, man, because you put that poison in your mind, it's going to poison your entire soul.
Well put. I think it's a great time to segue, because it was something I even wanted to talk to you about last week.